The football world is mourning today the loss of one of the greatest German footballers in Franz Beckenbauer. Many are commentating that he had a presence well beyond football as both a World Cup winner, as a coach and also as a player. To get more on the history and the legacy of Franz Beckenbauer, we are joined by Steve Johnston from Talk 100.3's Grandstand, which you can hear every Saturday morning from 9 o'clock. Steve, thanks for your time. Just how good was Franz Beckenbauer as a player?
Well, I think actually he was ahead of his time. A lot of people saw him as an arrogant player, but he was a touch of elegance about the way he played. He changed the actual position of the centre half into more of a footballing icon, legend kind of player, and played a lot more out of the back than what the old centre halves were used to. And he did it perfectly and with a kind of silky skill about him as well.
His performance, particularly when it looks down to Bayern Munich, he played 582 times, won the German top flight, but then also both as a player, as a manager. Do you think he was more influential as a player or as a football manager?
Well, I think when you have a great like Beckenbauer as a player, you can only but look back at his career, and when he goes into management, etc., a lot of people look at someone like Beckenbauer and say, wow, what a great player. We'd love to be like him. Not many were like him. So a lot of people looked up to him when he was a manager. But also, not just only being a manager, he actually had a great presence around the whole of world football itself. Of course, involved with a lot of things, including the controversial 1966 World Cup final, amongst other things. So he also actually played a good part as a PR person for football around the world and was heavily involved with a lot of the World Cups when they were actually getting drawn out and the teams being involved. And he was that kind of guy they called upon.
Steve, you mentioned a very interesting thing over here that his influence was global as compared to just limited to within his country. Because I did read some messages coming out on as posts on X by some of the Indian ministers, right? The Chief Minister of the state of West Bengal in India has put out a tweet for condolence, for Beckenbauer. Now, this also talks about the person's influence in a country which is so predominantly cricket crazy.
Yeah, I mean, very interesting that point, because Beckenbauer as a person, on the pitch, he was elegant and suave, and he was the same off it as well. So his image actually to people who are actually not even playing football, he came over as an elegant gentleman. He was excellent in what he executed for the game around the world, and hence the reason why he was so popular in places like India. I mean, don't forget, the battles that he had in the 60s and 70s is totally different to the game that's played today. It had a more physical presence as well, but he managed to ride that. He had a very good, what they call, footballing brain.
When you look at many of the coaches, some coaches are great tactically and some would be considered just great managers of being able to inspire and get the best out of a group of egos and a bunch of players. Where would you categorise Franz Beckenbauer?
Luckily, right down the middle, to be perfectly honest, because I think he was great as a player, but as a coach, as I said before, he actually influenced so many people around him. But not only that within the football world, he managed to carry it in other worlds as well. I mean, it's come quite a bit of a shock that he's no longer with us.
When you look at his performance, as we said, he started with Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga from 65 to 1977, winning league titles, European Cups. A phenomenal performance to have won the Ballon d'Or, a World Cup as a player, and then as a World Cup as a manager. What sort of a legacy do you think he's left, or where do you think German football would be today if he wasn't around?
Good question, that actually, Kitch, because the Bundesliga itself can actually be overshadowed by, what dare I say it, being sort of average and two or three teams actually at the top of the league taking control. But I think the way he's actually changed football in Germany, he actually adapted a style that other managers and coaches and players took upon themselves to actually be a big part of in the future. And it did work for Germany and still does now, the way they play. There's actually a way called the Beckenbauer way, when you play out from the back, and still a lot of teams do the same now, and in fact not only in Germany but all around the world as well.
Well, it is a great loss, and Steve, we do appreciate your time and sharing your experience. Maybe next time you can come on and talk to us about how Everton are going to go this weekend against Aston Villa.
Next.
I thought so. Steve, thanks for your time, and we look forward to hearing you back on Grandstand this Saturday morning from 9 o'clock.
Thanks, boys.
There he is, Steve Johnston, as we look back at the great career of the German football great Franz Beckenbauer.